Congressional hearing on free speech just went off the rails. What was supposed to be a calm discussion turned into a firestorm. Lawmakers clashing over the Epstein files, vanishing binders, missing lists, and one name that kept surfacing like smoke from a hidden fire: Pam Bondi.
I'm sorry to hear you're leaving the hearing early.
Well, it's not a question of leaving the hearing early, but I do have other things to do. Yes.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm so sorry about that.
It's okay. Where are you going?
It's not lunch, I promise you.
It's not lunch. You're not going to have lunch.
I don't think so, no.
No lunch.
Sad, isn't
You're
it?
meeting with the president?
I can't remember what the schedule is. It's possible.
You can't remember if you're meeting with the president.
I'm being very polite, and I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing this afternoon, but I can assure you that...
But there's the free speech hearing. You're not going to tell me what you're doing this afternoon?
Free speech is one thing. Discretion's quite another, too.
Okay. All right, so you're leaving to have lunch with the president. So, Mr. Farage, I have a question. Have you heard about the Epstein thing that's going on here?
I have.
You have? What do you think about it?
I'm not going to give comment on anything happening in America. I'm here as a witness.
Perfect.
I'm here as a witness.
I'm
here as a witness for what is happening in the United Kingdom and in the European.
Perfect. Let me just go through it. So it's been 9 months, right, okay, since we've been meeting in these hearings. We've not had Pam Bondi here, even though we have jurisdiction over the Department of Justice. Not Dan Bondi.
The gentleman yield.
Not Kash Patel. I will 100%. We'll go back and forth. Let me just do my thing.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to correct. Kash Patel's coming in 2 weeks. I'll give you an extra 10 seconds. Kash Patel, the director of FBI, is coming in 2 weeks, and the Attorney General's coming in 4 weeks.
Fantastic. But still, we're not doing that this week. The week we're having votes on the Epstein thing. So, you know, Pam Bondi gives the influencers, these Republican influencers, a binder. It says Part 1 of the Epstein files. No one ever saw it. It was quite spectacular. The Attorney General then says the Epstein list is on her desk. Then DOJ issues a memo, says there is no list. Then, you have any questions about any of that? We've had no hearings on any of that at all. That, the list is on my desk, then there is no list. Then we gave binders to Republican influencers. This committee's had no questions on any of how that transpired at the Department of Justice. Then hold on.
Well, it sounds like you're going to in the next few weeks. So that's a jolly good thing.
Mr. Farage, we can talk soon, but not yet. Okay.
Right.
So then the president comes out and says the whole thing's a hoax. He blasts his own base. He blames Barack Obama. I mean, he hasn't been president for a very long time. Republicans then in committee vote against the release in the Rules Committee. Then Republicans refuse to go back in the Rules Committee because they're getting blasted for their vote, getting crushed by their own base. Congress leaves a day early. Then the administration sends the Deputy Attorney General to meet with Maxwell in jail. He happens to be Trump's former personal attorney. She says something favorable about the president. Miraculously, she gets transferred to a minimum security prison. The president starts talking about how he has the right to pardon her if he wanted to. The leaks to the Wall Street Journal then stop. We come back from break. We have the Massey petition. Comer does a document dump where 97% of these documents are already public. How long has he had those documents? Why hasn't he released them for the last 6 weeks? Does it the day of the vote. Then Republicans drop a non-binding resolution trying to kill the Massey discharge petition. The White House said passing the Massey discharge petition is a hostile act. Wow. That's a lot of distraction and deflection and misinformation. Wait, passing a discharge petition to release the Epstein files, the White House said would be a hostile act. Nope, we have no questions about that. But why? Why is it that we're spending so much political capital to keep this list from coming out? You think the list should come out? You think we should know the people who dealt with Mr. Epstein, Mr. Farage?
I thought I was coming to a hearing on free speech, not process.
Oh, but listen, but here's the good...
It sounds like you're discussing process.
No. Do you think the list should come out?
I have no opinion on it. I don't know at all.
So we have victims that were sexually abused by potentially people in power, and we don't know who's on the list.
I'm very happy.
Hold on, Mr. Farage. We don't know who's on the list. We don't know who's on the list. We don't know if the president is or is not. I'm not going to say he is or isn't. I'm just going to say these are weird behaviors. We don't know that there aren't other people in Congress that are on the list. Right? We have no idea. Do you think the list should come out? You think people in power should be held to account for these victims who have been sexually abused and assaulted? You think the list should come out?
I think that I'm very happy to come to a different hearing where you talk about legal process.
Okay.
But today,
Will the gentleman yield for a quick question?
I will stick
to
Were you
free
aware that he has already called for the Epstein file to be released? It has been reported that he has called for it to be released.
Oh yeah, right here, just to refresh your memory.
Yeah, but
I
yes.
happen to have this.
But that's not
How
what
random.
But that is not. Look, you can ask me if you like about
Do you agree
social
with
security
yourself?
policy.
Do you agree with yourself?
We are here to discuss free speech.
Hold on, it's awkward for your lunch after this? Do you agree with yourself?
No, it isn't at all.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'm just curious. This committee has jurisdiction over the
Gentleman's
Department of
time.
Justice.
Yeah.
Why have we allowed Comer to cover this up for the last couple of months?
As I said,
why is this committee not
I
taking
said 6 weeks
jurisdiction?
ago that we will have the FBI director in, we will have the attorney general in, and we are doing that in 2 weeks. You can you can go through that whole list. That whole list, you can do whatever you want to do with, I got lots of questions for the FBI director, including the whistleblower who came forward and told him that Adam Schiff leaked classified information. I want to ask him about that as well as the issues you all want to ask him about. That's why he's coming, so we can ask all these questions and follow the process, as Mr. Farage just talked about.
Mr.
The
Chairman,
gentleman from Virginia.
unanimous consent.
Unanimous consent?
I'd like to enter the political article into the record that Mr. Farage said the Epstein file should be released.
What began as routine questioning spiraled into chaos, with whispers turning into accusations that the former Florida Attorney General might know far more than she's ever let on. It all started when Congressman Jared Moskowitz began asking the questions no one else dared to. His focus? Nigel Farage, the British witness in the hot seat. His topic? Not free speech, but the Epstein files that everyone in Washington insists don't exist. At first, it sounded like harmless banter. "Where are you going after this hearing?" Moskowitz asked casually, but then came the question that froze the room. "Are you meeting with the president?" The laughter died instantly. The tone turned sharp. Suddenly, the hearing wasn't about online censorship anymore. It was about power, secrets, and a list that refuses to stay buried. Then came the spark, Pam Bondi. Months earlier, she had reportedly handed out glossy binders to Republican insiders labeled Part 1, the Epstein files. Inside, sources say, were scraps of names and notes tied to the infamous case. But then, as if on cue, the Department of Justice claimed no list existed. So, how could something be sitting on her desk 1 week and disappear the next? That was the question no one in Congress seemed ready to touch. The DOJ ducked it. Bondi stayed silent. And every time lawmakers tried to press for answers, the story twisted again. First, the files existed. Then they didn't. Then they existed again, but only for authorized eyes. The contradictions piled up until even the most patient listeners couldn't ignore them. As the hearing unraveled, it became clear this wasn't about one woman or one binder. It was about how far the powerful will go to protect themselves. Just as the committee was set to vote on releasing the Epstein records, everything got delayed again. Then came a chilling twist. The Deputy Attorney General, once the president's personal lawyer, quietly met with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. Days later, Maxwell was moved to a lower security facility. The leaks? They vanished overnight. If this were a movie, critics would call the plot too obvious. When the White House later called the release of Epstein's files a hostile act, even seasoned insiders were stunned. Hostile to who? Justice, victims, or reputations that can't survive daylight? And through it all, Pam Bondi stayed silent. The same woman who once promised transparency was now caught in the shadows of a scandal built on secrecy. Her name keeps echoing through hearings, memos, and hushed conversations, but never in answers. The most haunting moment wasn't the shouting or the grandstanding. It was the silence. Lawmakers sidestepped, witnesses dodged, and the audience sat frozen as the hearing exposed something far bigger than politics, a system built on managing truth. One congressman finally asked the question hanging over the room. Why are we spending so much political capital to keep this list from coming out? No one answered. Because in Washington, silence speaks louder than denial. The Epstein files scandal isn't just about a missing list. It's about who gets to decide what the public is allowed to know. And right now, that power lies with those who'd rather bury the story than face the fallout. But secrets have a shelf life. And Pam Bondi's name? It's already written in the footnotes of history, whether she likes it or not.